if you read the instructions on the oil sampling, it says always take it from the midstream when you drain the oil. Don't take it from the very beginning. Don't take it at the end. Take it midstream. A lot of people mistakenly think, well, I forgot it. I'll catch it at the end, or I'll pour some of the oil I drained out into it, and then they get a funny reading. And when you're collecting data like that, you've got to be consistent in everything you do.
I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
And this is Keep Those Props Turning. Perspectives and insights to keep you flying, not grounded.
Jeff, want to talk a little bit about... I surprised you there. Okay. Talk about what to look for when you do an oil change. Mm-hmm. More and more I hear owners, pilots, even mechanics say to me, well, we did oil analysis at our oil change. That's great. But the reality is oil analysis is an indicator. It is not something that says here is airworthiness. It doesn't say this is what is going on. It gives you indications of things to look for. But at the end of the day, Lycoming, Continental, everybody says you need to be looking at that oil filter and you need to look at what's in the oil that's coming out of the engine. Mm-hmm. What do I mean by that? People will often say, oh, we got high indications, red, yellow, and something's going on inside my engine. Well, maybe, maybe not. But don't make a decision about whether or not you fly just using that. You're required to look at the oil filter, open it up, crack it open, look for material in that oil filter, run a magnet over it. Ideally, flush the filter media out so that you can see what's in there. Mm-hmm. We recommend that when you do that, you take pictures. Don't serve it to memory. Don't try to remember, well, 3 oil changes ago, I think we saw this in there. Take the pictures. Compare it to the last time. Mm-hmm. That way you can see whether you got the same, more, or less. The other side of that is oil that you drained out of the engine. A lot of people just put it in a bucket. It's a dirty bucket, and they dump it. They get rid of it properly, of course. Mm-hmm. But use that as a tool to see what's really sitting at the bottom of your sump. Mm-hmm. Put it into a clean 5-gallon bucket, let it sit overnight, 24 hours, get rid of 95% of it, again, properly. Take that last 5% and pour it through an old bed sheet, coffee filter, fine mesh screen. What do you see? Mm-hmm. Again, take pictures of that. That will tell you what's really happening inside the engine. And again, the oil analysis, it'll give you things to look for or consider. Is it maybe something with my rings? Is it maybe something with my valves? Is it my oil pump? But visual inspection of the oil and the oil filter and inspecting components within your engine are the only way to know whether you really need to do some preventative maintenance or major maintenance. We see engines all the time that come in where people said, oh, my mechanic said we've got elevated this, that, and the other thing. We're sending the engine to you. We get it in, and there's nothing going on inside the engine that's outside normal. Mm-hmm. What's happened is stuff is built up in the bottom of the sump. They happen to get that in the oil sample that they sent out, and it's not accurate. It's right. An indicator. It's not airworthiness determination. Mm-hmm. The other side of that is I'll have people say, hey, we just got our oil analysis back. Everything was green after our last oil change. Did you see anything in the filter of the oil you drained out? Well, we didn't look at that. They go ahead and fly on and they have a catastrophic failure. Mm-hmm. What happened? Did something change? Mm-hmm. Suddenly? No. It was something where there was an issue with the sample they took out of the engine. They didn't do it properly in accordance with the guidance from the shop that was providing them the test. Mm-hmm. There could be a number of different things. Right. But if they've been looking at that oil filter, if they've been looking at the oil that they actually drained completely out of the engine, they would have seen that there was already metal being formed. There was already things going on inside that engine that were indicators. So you got to look at all those things, not just the easy way out with oil analysis and just saying, well, it says it's okay, or, oh, it says this is wrong. Use it as another tool in assessing your airworthiness of your engine, the maintenance you need to provide to that engine, and how you fly.
That's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's merely another tool in your toolbox to use. And again, you've got to use it correctly. For instance, if you read the instructions on the oil sampling, it says always take it from the midstream of when you drain the oil. Don't take it from the very beginning. Don't take it at the end. Take it midstream. A lot of people mistakenly think, well, I forgot it. I'll catch it at the end, or I'll pour some of the oil I drained out into it, and then they get a funny reading. And there's when you're collecting data like that, you've got to be consistent in everything you do. So it's another tool. And again, every airplane and its use are a little different. So every situation is different. I've had instances, one that comes to mind right away is a fella comes back to me and says, "Oh, I've got this high iron, in my oil sampling. We've got a problem." I said, "Well, how long have you been using the plane, or what's going on?" Well, I find out he hadn't flown it all winter, and probably what happened was the cylinders, being steel, they oxidized up and corroded. So the next time he flew it, the piston rings scrape all that off, and guess where it goes? Into the oil. So once he did an oil analysis, the next oil change he did, an oil analysis in the early summer, came back fine. So, problem solved. But every situation is a little different, and you can't just jump to conclusions with an oil analysis. Like you said, John, there's different elements: chromium, nickel, molybdenum, aluminum. All of those things tell us as engine guys where the wear or damage is occurring, or a good place where it might be occurring. And then we get back to inspecting the oil, vis-a-vis the oil filter. Like you said, first thing you do is cut it open, let it drain out properly, and then start looking for any kind of debris. If you do find debris, one of the first things I do is check with a magnet to see if it's ferrous or non-ferrous, aluminum or steel. Otherwise, if it's more substantial, or there's more particles there than you like to see, most engines, you'll see a few particles here and there in the ribbing. It's not a big deal. You monitor that every oil change.
And Lycoming and Continental both have guidance on what size and how much material can be in a filter or in your oil before it is a concern.
That's correct.
And that's part of this too, that when you look at it, if you're not changing your oil regularly, you're building up more stuff. When did that happen?
That's right.
Over what time period?
That's right. Every situation's a little different with every airplane. So.
And we recommend to folks that make sure that if you're changing your oil, all right, then you take pictures of what you find in that filter, what you find in that oil that you've now screened out. If you're not doing it, have your mechanic do it.
Another good thing is take the filter element, put it in a Ziploc baggie, and put it in your cabinet and save them. If you're seeing a problem, that way you can go right back to it, open it up, and compare it to subsequent oil filter changes. And one final thing, let's not forget oil screens. People tend to forget the finger screens. Those catch the larger particles before it goes up to the oil filter. And there was an old joke with the Lycoming guys: don't send your engines back to us for overhaul and go and paint that oil plug, meaning that nobody ever takes them out. So, but if and in fairness, some models like Mooney's are very difficult to get out, and mechanics don't like to take them out. But you really should take them out, inspect that finger screen, and install it properly again with the proper gasket, safety wire it, and move on from there. But it's just as important as the filter. You should, it's another indicator.
And some people actually ask me, is it better to have a oil filter or use the screen? Both work well. All right. The objective of a screen is to block out the large chunks of material going through the engine, which can damage the engine. So whether you have an oil filter or an oil screen, or you potentially have both, you should be removing, checking, and cleaning both. Again, I recommend to everybody, take pictures. And if you're doing it, you take the pictures. If your mechanic's doing it, tell your mechanic you want to see those pictures. See what he or she is seeing in your oil filter or in that oil. Don't just have a verbal conversation. Oh, well, I didn't see anything. I mean, I hear that all the time where, well, we think we saw something in there, but it didn't really alarm us. Well, how do we go back 3-4 months ago and take a look at that if we don't have pictures?
That's right. And as a mechanic and from a liability standpoint, I do take pictures of those things. I keep them in baggies. Just if we see there's a problem, we'll start monitoring the problem. It may not be a situation where, oh, you've got problems here, we've got to pull the engine, but you're saying, okay, I'm starting to see particulate in the filter. Well, let's hang on to that. Let's take some pictures and check every subsequent oil change. There's an AD out on Lycomings that had bushings, brass bushings installed between 2009 and 2015 right now, and the basic
Let's go back 12, 15 years on issues.
And if you can't verify what was put in there, all you can do, according to the AD, is inspect the oil for brass, indications. Yeah. So, we do that anyways and, document it. And so, but again, filters, screens are always a good first indication of, do I have a problem? And keep in mind that back to that screen, if something's breaking apart, you won't see that in the oil filter. You're going to see it in the screen because it's going to collect those big chunks. You may not see anything else. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so important to check the finger screen as well.
Well, it's also important, as we talked about in the other clip, change your oil more regularly. And the reason is if you wait till 50 hours and you're making a lot of metal and you have only an oil filter on your engine, it has a relief valve in there. That relief valve, once your filter media gets clogged up enough, will pop open.
Yeah, bypasses,
and it lets that oil flow through with all that material into your main bearings, everything in your engine, and then it closes, and you have no idea that it opened up. So if you're changing your oil filter more regularly and checking it as well, you'll have a better read on what's going on.
That's right.
And should you start to have issues inside your engine, there's less likelihood that material is actually getting to the critical parts of your engine, the heart of your engine, meaning the main bearings, the crankshaft, etc.
Yep. The sooner you catch it, the better off you are.
Exactly.